Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the Master of the Universe series, and today we're talking about creating an arena for your 2K19 universe. And this has come up a few times in the comments section, and I'm going to talk you through my process of how I created my arena and my experience in doing so. But before we get into the details, I want to make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on so you stay up to date with all things MOTU. Now, I'm not going to tell you how your arena should look, that's entirely down to you because there is no right or wrong. But I am going to tell you about my experience and how I created my arenas, and hopefully that will give you some inspiration and some understanding of the thought process. Now, as you know, I work with my brother when creating my 2K19 universe. We play out the matches together and the creation process is the same. We work together. So what we do is we get some ideas down with a pen and paper, we discuss those ideas, and then we see where those ideas merge, and where they do, we take those ideas forward. Now this year, it wasn't the easiest, I've got to be honest. In fact, it was one of the more difficult years when creating an arena, and we did have our differences, and we did have debates and arguments at times. Yes, that's right, it's not always as simple as it looks. But that's the creative process, and it should be like that. It shouldn't be that one person bulldozes their ideas through. You should come together and iron out those differences together. And if you do work on your own, well, that's slightly different. And I would say it's a slightly different approach, because go with what you think looks good. Go with what makes you happy. Because if you're uploading to YouTube and you're doing a weekly episode, you've got to use that arena week in, week out. And you don't want to be looking at it and thinking, I'm not so sure I like this arena now. You've got to be happy. So don't do it just to appease your audience. Yes, you want your fan base to like it, but you've got to like it too. So now you know, arguments do occur in the creative aspect of universe. That's what happens behind the scenes. But those arguments are for the greater good, because we do get there in the end. And we did just that with the arenas we created for 2K19. And one arena took much longer than the other. And one thing I will say about my arenas when I create them is I like that minimal approach. I'm not that keen on over-the-top graphics and over-the-top logos and, you know, really bright color visuals. I prefer the more subtle and the pastel colors, because I want the eyes to be on the action as opposed to the arena detracting from the action. So that's just my thought process. If you prefer things that are a little bit more out there, then go for it. That's you. But I like a more minimal style, and if you go back through my universe modes over the years, all the way back to SNME, you will see that the arenas are rather simple. Plus, if you're going to then go and create a pay-per-view arena, you want to add a little bit more, so your weekly arenas should be more simple than your big pay-per-view arenas. That's just my feeling, because then it makes those shows feel more special. But each to their own. I'm only giving you what I think, and that's how we worked it this year. We kept that style, that simple process, and it wasn't the simplicity that brought up the disagreements. It was more the color scheme, and you will find that out when I show you an arena we didn't use for Monday Night Raw. But let's talk about the arena which was much more easier to create, and that was Smackdown Live. So Raw starts the week when it comes to universe mode, but it didn't start the creation process for the arenas. Smackdown Live came first, and this is my Smackdown Live arena for 2K19 universe mode, and I'm very happy with this arena. This creation process didn't actually take too long. We were very much agreeing on everything we wanted to do with this arena. The idea was to keep it clean and simple, and I think we've achieved that. And the reason behind that is just number one, I like things to be more simple, and number two, we don't want our arena to take away from the action and the storytelling. And sometimes if you go too far with your arena, it can do that. Now the colour scheme is blue, and I went for a pastel blue for the ring apron and a fade blue for the LED and the Trons. And the reason why I did that is we wanted the blue to tie in with the Smackdown graphics that are in game. Otherwise it would feel like we couldn't use them. So again, something to think about. If you're going to use the in-game graphics, make sure that the colour scheme that you use ties in with those graphics. And this arena does it very well. We also knew we wanted to use a retro stage, but we didn't want to use the Smackdown Fist because we've done that before. So we went with the 1999 stage, and this stage looks great. I actually love what 2K have done with this stage, but there is a problem with this stage, the Tron. And I've seen this come up in my comment section quite a few times. Why don't you use the Superstar Trons? Well, we was going to use the Superstar Trons, but the Trons don't adjust to that oval shape of this Tron, which means they just look a mess. So we decided to turn it off, and luckily I'm very happy with the way we've done the Smackdown logo on the faded tone backdrop, and it doesn't do too much damage. But that is why once we tested it out, we found out that the Trons don't adjust to the oval shape, and we thought we'll just move ahead without them. So again, things don't always go to plan, and you could go through the entire creation process and then find out something like this. But don't let it get you down. Don't be disheartened. Find a workaround and work it to your advantage, because the game does have restraints, and there's no point in getting upset about it because it will only stifle your creation process. Take a step back and roll with a punch. That would be my advice. And don't get me wrong, I completely understand the frustration sometimes, not just with the game and its restrictions, but sometimes just because things don't go to plan. You could create something and look at it one day and think it looks great. The next day you wake up and then you feel disappointed by it and you start all over again. And I have experienced that frustration many times, and we did just that with the Raw arena. So let's talk about it. So this is the Raw arena, which you see in my 2K19 universe mode now, but it took many attempts to get to this stage. In fact, it took many days, many debates and many arguments, because everything we were trying just wouldn't come off. And I have to be honest, I don't know why, because we wanted to keep the simple and clean look like we had with Smackdown Live, but things we didn't think would be a problem became a problem. So for example, the ring apron. Now on Smackdown Live we had blue, and I introduced that blue and it worked first time. But with Raw, nope, that didn't work. I introduced a red. I wanted to keep the theme the same. Smackdown be blue, Raw be red. And it also tied in with the fact that we have the blue brand and the red brand. Very simple, very obvious. And that's what we were going for still, that clean and simple look. So I introduced the red, it didn't work, it looked rather dull. So I upped the red, made it more vibrant. It turned the ring apron pink. So that wasn't working. And after a day, I then introduced an extra layer and managed to get the red that I wanted. But that took a day. A day. I think we wrapped up the Smackdown arena in a day. So that didn't work. Then we moved to the LED board and the LED ring posts. Now we had a debate whether or not we wanted to use a red Raw logo or a white Raw logo. And because we were using red on the ring apron, we went with a white Raw logo to offset. But as we introduced more red, we felt we needed to add more white. And there was a debate whether or not we'd add another colour, and that was going to be black. And you can see obviously the turnbuckle pads and the rim of the LED board is black. But that's as far as we went in the end. But everything became a debate and sometimes an argument. For example, the Raw logo on the LED board. Now, would that be in the middle, the left or the right? We must have moved that thing 100 times until we decided where it was going to be placed. the white line above the Raw logo and beneath it. That ran through the middle at one point, but it didn't make the final cut. Even the LED posts, they were just going to be plain red, but it just didn't look as good as the Smackdown arena. That's why we added the additional Raw graphics. But as we did all this, we started to get fed up with the red completely, and we decided to go dark. Now, this is an arena that we will never use, but this was a mock-up for the Raw arena before we went back to the red, and we were very close to using this. So this could have been the WWE 2K19 Universe Mode Arena for Monday Night Raw, and it is a bit different. So here it is, and I like to call this the Dark Raw Arena. And the inspiration behind this arena came with the fact that we got so tired of debating about the red and the white that we wanted to create something completely different, and this was it. Now this started with my brother going away and making a black and white arena, and it looked cool, but I didn't feel like it represented Monday Night Raw, and I felt, wait for it, we needed to introduce some red. So as you can imagine, that went down a treat considering the debates we'd had in the past. So I went away and went to a dark room. In my mind, I went to a dark place and I came up with this Dark Raw arena. And for a time I thought, this is quite good, I quite like it, but I wasn't, amazed by it. I didn't think, yes, this is the best design I've come up with. And I talked it through with my brother. He was the same, he wasn't sure. And the defining factor of why we didn't use this arena in the end was because we felt that this arena didn't work well with the in-game Raw graphics. So we thought it might be eye-catching at first because it was different, using the black, the red and the white, but we felt it wouldn't really work with the graphics, and that's why we reverted back to just the red and the white. But this was on the table for quite some time, so this is the first time outside of my brother that anybody is seeing this arena, because I never had plans to talk about this or show this online, but I feel it's necessary. And I did say that I was never going to use this arena, and I shouldn't really say that because the hashtag for this game is never say never, so I won't say never, but I have no plans to use it in the foreseeable future. And with that being the case, I want to get your views and opinions in the comment section below on this Dark Raw arena, because if plenty of you like it and you'd like to use it, I'll be willing to upload this to the PS4 community creations so you can download and play in the arena yourself. But you will need to let me know in the comment section, and if there is plenty of comments and you guys do want it, I will let you know on my Twitter account once the arena has been uploaded. So follow me at Delzinski to find out when this arena is online. But again, that all depends on your feedback. If you guys think it's trash, it ain't going up. So I hope this video overall has given you a better understanding of the thought process that goes into creating an arena. It's not so simple. Sometimes things fall into place, sometimes they don't. That's just the way it is. And sometimes you will have arguments with those you're working with. Sometimes you'll question yourself whether you're doing the right thing. Sometimes you'll start again. That's all part of the creative process. Don't worry, you're not the only one, because I have those problems too. So I hope this video helps you create your arena for your 2K universe. Again, I didn't want to tell you how to create your arena and how it should look. That's not down to me, that's down to you. But what I did want to do is raise the awareness of the difficulties that you can encounter, because I'm encountering them too, and I feel like sometimes creators mask over that fact because they make it look easy, and it's not always. And that's what this MOTU series is all about, to open your eyes to the bigger picture. So get involved in the comments if you've got any questions about this episode of MOTU. Please do let me know and I will be happy to answer them. And best of luck with creating your arena. And all that's left to be said is please rate, comment and subscribe. We went dark for a moment, but then we saw the light. This is Delzinski signing out.